Hello, West Hartford. My name is Printis. Thank you for joining me today. This is Mindfulness Meditation, and I'm here once again. You've seen it before. I'm here with our friend, Mr. Michael Reilly. Michael, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. It's wonderful. It's nice to be here. Thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really appreciate you taking the time out to come and see us. West Hartford, if you haven't done it already, you know where you are right now. You're on YouTube. You can hit that subscribe button and you can be privy to all of the stuff we do here. Mindfulness meditations, Two Guys and a Lot of Wine, high school sports, graduations, and all that kind of good stuff right here on WHCI. But we thank you for taking the time out right now to watch this Mindfulness Meditations with myself and Mr. Michael Reilly. We had an episode a week ago where we spoke a lot about your history. You're a military veteran. You were in the Air Force for 4 years, serving the country with honor and distinction. Thank you for your service. That's
my pleasure.
That's fabulous. When you came back, you noticed that you got back into your civilian life, and you found yourself wanting a little bit. Maybe there was a bit of a gap between you and your loved ones that maybe wasn't there before, right?
Yeah.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what it was like for the people around you when you returned?
Yeah, absolutely. There wasn't a whole lot of support once I separated from the military. It was, where do you want us to send your stuff? And here's a ticket. And usually they'll send you back to the place you departed
wherever you came from.
Yeah, so mine was going back to New York. And of course, this was 4.5, almost 5 years later. Very different dynamic in the city, but more importantly, at home, things had definitely changed. I didn't have a space anymore. That room that was mine was no longer mine. Yeah, I could walk through the front door, but now it's a whole different sense of wanting to fit in. And now I've got military experience. I've got training that my family didn't understand. That's on one end. On the other end, my buddies and the people who had supported me for the past 4 years, they're gone. They're no longer here. So there was a huge void. Absolutely, there was a huge void. And there was no welcome mat at home.
Right.
So right away, things didn't land right. So some of the challenges was just feeling isolated, feeling not being a part of what was my whole life until I went to the military, and to come back and to try to find a space in that family was very difficult. When I left, there was hugs and cries and all of that, and I come home and it's where it looks. There were no wreaths laid out for me. There was no carpet or of any type. It was like, figure it out.
Right.
And so there was some sense of being let down, and in feeling being let down, the anxiety stepped in, and I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was just pretty much on my own, needing to figure out what is the next move.
That's interesting. You say, you came back to your home, your family, your blood, your relatives, your friends, the people you grew up with. Yeah. You come back and you're a bit different now when you get back. You're a bit different, not only from your experiences, but just from the training of the military.
Yes.
It changes your perspective. It changes how you operate from day to day. You get back, and now you're a square peg trying to fit back into the round hole that you were in it originally. When you noticed that you weren't fitting, that things weren't quite right, what did that mean in your mind? What did you think that you needed to do? Did you have any thoughts like that? Did I need to change something? Did I need to seek out some sort of help, or what happened with that?
No, to all of those. I think where I began to notice was I was fresh out of the military, and what you're trained to do at the beginning of your military service is intended to stay with you your whole military service.
Right.
So when you come out of the military, you still have that training.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stood out was in basic training is like, if you're being held captive, let's say by the enemy, you give them your name, rank, and serial number. And that's it. And then they teach you, like, whoever you say anything to has to have a need to know.
Okay.
Now, I've been in the military for 4 years. Nobody outside has a need to know anything, so that immediately shuts me down.
Okay. Okay, so there's a built-in mechanism for isolation
Absolutely.
from the military that was trained into you.
Absolutely. So you come back into civilian world and it's going twice as fast as when you left, and now you've got locked in your mind the mindset of anyone you speak to at this point has a need to know. And so there's that disconnect from the time that you were gone. So these people are now different, and you come back and you put in that same environment. You're not going to be like, hey, let's talk. No, it's not.
Right,
it's not going to happen.
You're closed off.
No, you're really angst up. You're really like anxious because you're not. Well, I wasn't talking. I can own it. It's not like I don't have to say you. I was not speaking to anyone. I could have gone back. I worked at JFK Airport. I could have gone back to work, but even that seemed far away.
Right.
And I just felt like I couldn't bridge that gap, and it could have been just communication. We're not even talking about behavior.
This is just talking, sitting down for a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
And saying, hey, this is how I'm feeling today.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And that didn't happen within the family. And it really didn't happen outside of the family either, because nobody really knew how to receive you. So that depends on how you show up after the service.
Sure.
Maybe some trauma may have happened or not. It could have been, an easy ride, and it may not have been difficult to get back into the society and be like normal. But if you had trauma, as I was in the Philippines for 33 months and I never came home. I was a different person.
Yeah.
So that showed up differently with each one of my siblings as well as my parent, and it wasn't always good, because right away I'm trying to reestablish myself square in a round hole.
Yeah.
So it wasn't working. I had to have a second plan.
You had to have a second plan. Did anyone in your inner circle, your family, your close friends, obviously they noticed that you had changed. They noticed that you were different than you were when you left. Did they make any effort to try to reach out to you? Did they, if they did they know what they should have done? Did they have any kind of clue about how to handle that?
I don't think the military had a clue what to do with you once you became a veteran, because now you become a subject of the VA, not the actual military branch that you were in. So there was, again, starting with a disconnect. You come home, there's a disconnect with the family. They really don't know what's going on with you unless you say what may have happened. Because even you writing home, it's usually not horror stories.
Right, yeah.
So even if they have an understanding what you may have been experiencing, when you're home, it's because now you're bringing your whole body, your energy, the memories, and there's a disconnect. You're trying to fill that gap. So no, they did not know how to deal with whoever this person is that has now shown up. And again, based on your training, if you had like special training, those things are going to show up.
Yeah.
And the people in front of you are the ones that will be receiving whatever is coming from you, if it's based on, the training that you just received or whatever theater you were in, while you were active duty.
So there's isolation trained into you, a mechanism for isolation trained into you, and then when you come back, you're different. People don't know how to deal with you. More isolation.
Yes.
Right? You're
Yes.
doubling down on the alone feeling, which for PTSD, I would imagine, as the worst additive for PTSD, yeah?
Yeah, it is. Because many times a veteran is now completely disconnected from the awareness in their body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So even if there's depression there, immediately one might be thinking it's in the mind, but it's really in the body. You can feel the depression in the body.
Yeah. It's a physical manifestation in your body.
And there's nobody in my house, or even on second tier that could identify that. It really takes skills and training. And when one gets out of the military, active service, depends. At that time, it depended on what kind of a discharge you may have received: honorable, dishonorable, less than honorable. That kind of opens the door for you, or keeps it shut.
Or keeps it shut. Yeah.
And again, there's no one inviting you in. Where did you come from? New York? We send you back to New York. There's no one saying, okay, when you get back to New York, visit the VA, have a counselor, talk to someone, all the services you need, they're there within the facility. But that was not happening. So here you are, wherever you came from. Doesn't have to be New York City, but you go back home and there's like nothing there from the perspective of family or resources in the community that's really there to help you.
Okay. Okay, so you come back from the military, you're isolated, and you're saying, even if you're feeling depression and your training might tell you, well, that's just all in your head, push through it, you'll be fine, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. But like you just said, it does manifest physically in the body. And you and I both know from our yoga training, mind and body are very much connected. Those two things are connected. So if you have depression in your mind, it will manifest physically in your body and then outwardly in your actions.
Yes.
Yeah? So I wonder the resources that you found, what you found was yoga and meditation.
Long after.
Long after.
Yeah.
It was a long road to get there. But that's what you found to help you push to move beyond where you were when you got back
100%.
into civilian life.
Yeah.
How important to you is meditation?
Meditation is extremely important. You know, up to the time where I realized that something was going on and I needed to get out of New York, because at the time things were just going way too fast for me. And of course, sometimes self-medication comes in. You know, you have your buddies in the military, you go to the pit and ping, or you go where you hang out and you share stories, you drink a beer, and you go back to your dorm, and you go back to work the next day. All of that was gone. Yeah. But the idea of drinking or smoking or whatever aim you want to do to self-medicate, to heal what's now building up in the body, because you're not doing what you were doing before. But there's all that energy and disconnect, and so with this drinking or smoking, and now there's a path that is really not going to serve me at the time as a veteran or even a productive member of society.
Right.
So I knew that I had to make a change. I came to Connecticut and it received me very well. But still, I wasn't addressing the emotional and the physical challenges that were laying within me. So some of it showed up as anger, passive-aggressive behavior. I've been accused of being secretive, not sharing, not talking. And of course, being honest, Chris, I embraced those things.
Really?
Yeah.
The secretiveness, the self-imposed isolation, the ings that you mentioned.
100%.
Yeah. Because did you feel that was your release valve for what you were feeling inside?
It kept me safe.
It kept you safe. Okay.
And I don't have to tell anybody anything. So if you say, hey, Mike, you know, you're being an A, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Because again, it's that being round and trying to fit in that square hole still leaves you round.
Yeah.
So I stayed in that roundness until, you know, like it took me 32 years before I went to the VA. And around the same time that I realized that I could go to the VA and talk to someone, I found yoga. Yeah. So it all started unfolding at the same time. I really connected with my body, my mind, and then there was this fusion or coming together, a better understanding of the dynamics of my mind, body, and my physical body.
Okay. So a long time coming.
Yeah.
It took a long time for you to turn that corner finally.
Yes.
When you found yourself on the yoga mat, when you found yourself in meditation, what did you notice first? Was it the feeling in your body? Was it just the making the connection between what's going on in your mind and what's happening in your body? What was the reason that you felt, oh, this is working, I should continue?
That's a good question, because I had dragged my body along this whole time and dragged my body along, but my mind was doing all of the work. And I realized that it's a relationship. So when I sat on the mat, I slowed down long enough to recognize that my body is playing a part of this in this cycle, and I started to notice and paying attention to different parts of my body, whatever the sensation may be, whether it's discomfort, pain, joy. Now I realize that having awareness to each part of one's body, at least for me, it became really important because I wasn't paying attention. And to me, that was the missing link. Yeah. So once I started practicing yoga and I went to yoga teachers training, I had to learn a little bit about anatomy, I had to learn about energy, prana, movement, alignment, the planes of the body. And I'm like, wow, ding, 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 ding. And it allowed me, speaking about meditation, to begin to go inside, and I love that. Because all these years it was all external. My sense perceptors were like on overdrive rather.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once I close down, I go inside and I go into that space, I'm starting to feel things. I'm starting to reflect and remember things. Some of them like sparks, some of them are drawn out. And then when the ones that are drawn out, I really feel in my body. And then tears come, anger comes. You know, I used to practice what I call not enoughness. But when I go there, I realize that I have abundance. I have everything that I need. So it was shifting of understanding and shifting of awareness. And once I began to practice the asana, the movements, and sitting and being comfortable with sitting, because that's the first step, as you know, in yoga, is finding a comfortable seat.
Yeah. A lot of people in their mind, we talked last week about how people have this view of yoga being, you know, this stretch and there's a warrior two and then a warrior one, and it can be that, for sure. It absolutely can be that. But it could also be, you know, like you're saying, stretching in the morning. That can be yoga. Also meditation. I think a lot of people in a similar way have a view of meditation, like you're saying, that sitting on a mountaintop with incense for hours and hours, unmoving, you know, not eating, not drinking, fasting for weeks or whatever have you.
Yeah.
I find myself, I can meditate in the car if I need to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Where do you typically meditate? Like if you're going for active meditation, where do you do that? How do you do that?
I'll just put my zafu right on the floor in the living room. Because I have a big and I love light, so I'll just open my blind as wide as the back wall here, and the sun will come in, and I'll just sit there. I'll just cross my legs, and I'll just sit there. And I'll just connect with my. It's that simple.
It's that simple to just sit in your own living room in a space that you've made comfortable for yourself. Yeah.
Comfortability, predictability are all important, and safety are important, because when one closes his or her eyes and go inside, now you're not aware, so the simplest sound can startle you. So you create a safe space where you know you can go in and just be okay. Because the active mind is going to be telling you that the boogeyman is at the door and something is on the, you know, all sorts of stories. That's where the challenge of becoming meditative is. Because, hey, Chris, I'm going to meditation. Okay, let's see how that works.
Right.
You get there and the monkey mind is going all over the place, and the chatter and all of these things, and it's hard. Yeah, and it's hard to just like settle in. So that's one way that I do it. But again, being meditative, even when you're driving, or being more aware. You know, I drove from Bluefield to West Hartford, and I tried to drive with awareness, just right at the speed limit, and just be aware, noticing everything. I might be say, oh, you're being hyper vigilant. Well, okay, you can see it coming. Right? So it's really just awareness, sharpening your awareness. You can have a sharp awareness or you can have a dull awareness. And meditation is sharpening that awareness through sensations and feeling. So you're feeling the breath flowing into the nostril, you're feeling the sits bones grounded. And you know, as we're sitting here, if you're on the ground, you're sitting on the ground or a pillow or something, you bring your awareness to those places, which internally is exploring your body from the inside out. It's really not so much from the outside in, because now we're turning our awareness inside and exploring. And it doesn't require doing anything. What it requires is being present, and not activating the sympathetic nerve system, which really gets you, you know, like wow, wow, wow. But inviting the parasympathetic nervous system to just be with that, and invite ease and calm, and not be afraid to notice when the mind becomes overly active, and know that the body really doesn't have to respond. So I had to learn how to move from reacting to now responding if I need to.
That's a key difference.
If I need to,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. If someone wanted to say, they watch this program and they go, I want to give meditation a shot, what do they need? What do they need for that? Do you need a pillow, or do you need the big windows with the sun?
Absolutely not. Everyone literally has everything that they need, because you can start with a walk-in meditation. Again, it's just becoming aware. So you don't have to sit down.
You don't need any tools.
You don't need anything.
You don't need any special space. Just a place where you're comfortable.
And leaning into the uncomfortable.
And leaning into the uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can do it sitting, right? Yeah. You can do you can sit and just, once you close your eyes, or even if your eyes are open, the uncomfortable thoughts are going to show up. But there's that opportunity, just like the space between the breath, to know that the uncomfortable is just content. It's not real. If once you give your attention to it and then react to it, then it becomes real. So to meditate, it's really just find a comfortable, seated, standing, walk. Just find a place where you can be okay with what is, like right now, because it's minute to minute, or second to second, or moment to moment. However you want to look at it, you decide that. But it's just being comfortable with yourself. Because I had to become comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that I had was I couldn't sit still. I just could not sit still. And even when I started to have a family, I'm not comfortable here. I need to do, and I had no idea where I wanted to go. Even when I had young kids, I'm not ashamed to say it. When I had young children, my boys were young, they were still in the crib. I wake up in the morning and I have this anxious feeling to go somewhere. Don't know where I'm going. I'll get dressed. They might be taking a nap mid-morning. I'll jump in my car. I get to the end of the driveway, and I'm like, okay, well, where do I want to go?
Yeah. I wanna take a minute. We're talking a lot about PTSD.
Yeah, please.
There's support.
Yeah.
There are people out here who are trained professionals who know what to say, who know what to do, who know where to direct you, who can help you. If you're feeling any kind of anxiety, the VA is there. I believe we spoke last week about in every town, at least in Connecticut, at the town hall, there is a
veteran resource officer.
There's a veterans resource officer.
Absolutely.
Right here in Weha, at this location. We've got one here as well, here at 50 South Main Street, right in West Hartford. Avail yourself of these resources.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be alone. We're talking a lot about how when you come out of the military, you got, you know, your training tells you to watch out for these guys, and in civilian world, nobody's watching out for this guy.
Yeah.
You can watch out for yourself, and there's other people who will also watch out for you. Don't be alone. You don't have to be.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to take a minute we're trying to give people tools that they can use, right?
Yeah.
We've gone over what meditation is, how it can be done, where it can be done, what's needed for it. But then there's also the physical practice of yoga, which feeds into meditation as well.
Yeah.
I find yoga to be movement meditation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see you brought some tools along.
Yeah.
We're sitting in our chairs. I thought we could go over a few postures that people could take with them in their world. Maybe at your desk at the office, you could do some poses.
Yeah.
You know, maybe just in your chair while you're watching your favorite show at night. Maybe you can do some. Are there any things that we can show people? Just like some simple things, simple, easy.
The only accessory I bought today was a strap, and at home there's a belt, so you
can
really
use a
don't.
belt.
So really one doesn't really have to go out. But this is a wonderful tool that we can use to support us in our practice. I usually also have blocks that I will travel with. Depends on the height of the chair. In this case, my hips are completely aligned, my knee, so I don't need anything under my feet. So I can sit in a perfectly aligned posture. My spine is long, my sits bones are grounded, and my feet are connected to the earth. So I don't have any other tool other than this. But this particular strap, it's very helpful because you place it around the foot and extend, or you can place it over your back and use this, giving it a little bit more room to open the back without having to strain to get your fingers to connect. So using a belt at home, or using a book at home, or books at home, to get your feet a little bit off the ground. Let's say if the chair's too high. So there are all sorts of tools one can use at home, but again, really don't need much of anything. If you're going to do chair yoga or practice sitting down, well, obviously you'll need a chair. Anything that we do in yoga can literally, or in meditation, can be done either sitting or standing. So, and again, you really don't need anything, but support precedes action. So if you need, or you feel you need support, please find it. I mean, we're talking to a population that may not even know that they need support. I didn't. It was through various exploration that I got to this place, realizing broken friendships, broken relationships. but I had to come home. Now I'm home. So I have these different practices. If I'm feeling a little anxious, if I wake up and I had a bad dream, I could start by just sitting on the edge of the bed. Or when I'm having my coffee, no TV, no iPad, no phone, just sit there and connect with the breath.
Yeah.
And not be afraid. Because if I'm by myself and I'm feeling anxious, something has to change. I can't change me. I have to change my attitude. I have to change my behavior. I have to change my way of thinking. And it's not like on a blackboard where I can just check it off or cross it off. It has to begin inside. So that really requires a certain amount of stillness, because how it shows up is vibrationally.
Yeah. I want to give people, before we go, I want to give people just a quick, you mentioned the seated sun salutation.
Yeah.
What is that? How do we do this?
So the sun salutation is just honoring movements in your body in relationship to the space around you. So seated, obviously if you're standing, you can do a full sun salutation, which is starting at the very beginning, mountain pose. So we can sit in seated mountain.
Right? So feet flat.
Yeah. Feet flat.
My knees are at a 90-degree angle.
Yep,
my
like
knees
right
are
above your ankle.
Knees are above the ankles.
Yeah.
You know,
we're sitting up on the sits bones.
I can feel my sit
and
bones.
So you can always come as close to the edge. That way you'll only be feeling your sits bones, and you're not sitting on the back of your thighs.
Right. Okay.
It's a very different feel.
Yes.
You know, it can just swivel on your sits bones, right? So we have that. So this would be knees or hips distance apart. So there's alignment in the body, there's alignment with the chair, alignment in the spine, shoulders draw down. And just arriving in that space. Start by maybe noticing the breath or even noticing the movement in the body. And always trying to come back to being ease and comfort in the body, noticing where the sensations that, where can I soften?
Yeah, what muscles are we using that you don't really need?
What are we holding on to here? Where can we, and it could be just the fist. Sometimes we find,
a clenching in the jaw or anything
100%.
like that. Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. And that's where the yoga nidra comes in, because the idea of yoga nidra is to mention a part of the body and bring the awareness there. Not to do anything with it, not to move it.
Just look at it.
Just
notice
right,
it.
from the inside out.
Yeah.
Just noticing it. So, this is a seated mountain.
Just feet flat.
Feet flat.
Nice and easy, nice long spine.
Yes.
Crown of your head pointing up towards the sky, soles of your feet firmly planted down on the ground, and just.
That's one, right?
That's one.
And number two is, if you're feeling safe, you can soften your gaze, which just means maybe gazing down at the back of your hand, or just gazing down the tip of the nose, or close your eyes, because safety is really important, because again, you're going inside. So once you find your seated mountain, soften the gaze, right? And begin to pay attention to the breath. You can even add the sound of the Ujjayi, which is locking the glottis, which makes that Darth Vader sound.
I always explain that to people. People don't necessarily know what I mean when I say that. When you were a little kid and you went up to a mirror or a window and you would go and fog it up and then put a little happy face in it.
Yeah,
that's the breath we're talking about.
Yes.
Your mouth is closed during it, but that's that same breath.
Yeah.
Right?
And that helps to calm the body, but it also helps to warm the breath. Right? So because we're breathing through the nostril, it's traveling through the body, which is, what temperature it is, what time it is. And so that warmer breath immediately, because of the warmth, gets into the bloodstream and starts moving through the body. That's pranayama, controlling the breath. So you see, we don't have to go very far. We don't have to do a whole lot. It's just being. We're just sitting. We're just breathing. But we're paying attention to the sitting. We're now paying attention to the breathing. And we're also paying attention to the awareness around this whole container. Right? Yeah. And so it's really important to find that easy comfort seat first, settle, make the connection between the mind body, and then you can add movement.
Right.
And the movement could be something really simple. May I?
Please.
All right. So we're grounded.
Yeah.
We've made the connection with the breath, right? And now we're ready to add. And because we've made the connection with the breath, the first movement is going to be on an inhale. So let's say we're going to reach our arms up. So we're going to start from empty. We can even draw the navel in for a little extra exaggeration. And fill up with the inhale as you reach up. And the inhale stays with you until you get to the top. So you can feel like wings unfolding in your side body. It's very different than just raising your arms, right? And so the top of that inhale, the exhale softens and gently bring your arm down. So we're not just dropping the arm. This is where we're adding mindfulness to it, just being present, feeling the muscles, feeling, even when you land on your leg, you're feeling that. So let's do that 3 more times. Exhale completely, draw the navel in, and as you inhale, begin to just fill up. And you can smile. Top of the inhale. You may even pause here for a minute. It's really important sometimes to notice when you get to that space between the inhale and the exhale, and when you're ready, the exhale rises from inside, and like a wave, you follow that exhale coming all the way down. Just adding a little bit more awareness and a little bit more mindfulness. And we'll do that one more time, Chris, right? So you land, you want to make sure you land and feel the transition. So as you're inhaling, you may even press your feet into the earth, which gives you even more alignment from head to tail. And let's do that again, inhale and reaching up. Full expression. So now we're at the top, right? We have full expression. And exhale. And then exhale, Chris, as we come into a goalpost, so just bending into the elbows. Inhale here, fill up, and press the elbows so you can feel your shoulder blades coming together in the back. Can you feel that? You just feel it, right? Okay, so that's your inhale. All right, if you then take an inhale here, and as you exhale, bring your elbows on your palms together. Can you feel the movement in your shoulder?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So let's do that again. Inhale slowly. It's like you're not even a part of the expression. This is the body breathing, the body moving. Top of that inhale. And again, as you exhale, bring in your elbows and your palms together. And soften your gaze. Take a full exhale here. Inhale. Reach your arms up. Now here you can interlace your fingers and find steeple. Exhale fully and draw the navel in so it gives your spine alignment. Inhale here as you lift and lengthen, Chris. And as you exhale, pour it over to the right side, but keep your left sits bones grounded. Full exhale. Press your feet into the earth as you press up as you inhale. Top of that inhale, Chris, and then you exhale over to the left side. Keep that right sits bones grounded. Keep the smile on your face. But just notice the sensations in your body because you're opening and reconnecting. Full exhale, inhale, coming back to center. Exhale and release your arms. That's a simple practice. It's accessible to any and everyone. You know, because you know, I work with folks who don't have both arms or parts, and they go through the same practice. Yeah, because a lot of it is, again, mentally. More than half of what we do is in our head, and the inner being doesn't always know that this is missing or that's missing, but we're craving it and we're seeking for it, but it's already here. And so we make these connections through breathing, through movement, through awareness, the yoga nidra, and then we get to gratitude. Never want to leave gratitude out of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's like a prayer, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So we always want to finish our practice with a sense of being grateful, right? And if I'm feeling grateful, I try to think of someone who I'm grateful for also, and express gratitude to others, to that individual or collectively, family, community, or country.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think what I loved most about that is this was the edge of the bed yoga you were talking about. You could just do this first thing in the morning, maybe before you go lay down for at night.
Anytime.
You know, in the car or at your office or anywhere that you have a nice comfortable seat and you feel safe. That's accessible.
100%. And the thing about it, Chris, is that this is accessible to you all the time. We just have to make the time
Yeah.
to pay attention to it. Because it's not like it's not available or it's not happening. But when you start giving particular attention to how the mind is flexing, how the body is reacting or responding or moving, it really empowers you to shift from whatever may not be serving you to more towards what serve you. And it could be the people in your life. It could be the people who you thought would be there to support you, they're not. Then you make a break for it, because there's always support available.
Right.
But if you're walking on the wrong track, you're not going to get to where you want to go.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much again for coming by again, Mr.
Anytime.
Michael Reilly. Ladies and gentlemen, yoga extraordinaire.
Thank you.
Military vet, served his country and continues. You gotta love it when your heroes go overseas and they're heroes overseas, and then they come back and they find a way to be heroes right here in the community, serving the community with yoga for people with trauma, for veterans, like you said, people with scars you can see and scars you can't. I love it. Thank you so much for being here again.
Yes. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. West Hartford, thank you again for joining us on Mindful Meditation. My name's Chris Printis. This is Mr. Michael Reilly. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Weehaw. Stay beautiful. Love you.